How are you?
Hello, Ricardo. Good to see you. Good to
Good to
see you. It's been a while.
yeah, good to see you too, my friend. Good
Hello,
to see you.
Ricardo. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good.
But my friend, I'm very happy that we are together, and I'm super excited. I was in Atlanta when we just released the article. I was not expecting on that Friday, so we were very happy. So we want to welcome everyone here on that are watching us on Zoom and also watching us on the live stream on LinkedIn, on YouTube. So all of you, you are very welcome here, and we'll talk about our latest article. So our objective here is to share with you some information about the article we wrote, and it's a super interesting topic and article because what we tried at this time is to connect what we are discussing on the AI, but moving and raising the bar, not only to talk about tools, but to talk about how we can leverage and create a more sustainable project management using that. So this is the topic of the intersection of AI, sustainability, and project management. So we will Antonio will start introducing this intersection and the challenges we face on complexity, cost, and carbon, this triple C we wrote in the article, and about the green algorithms. And then I will talk about the framework and we will conclude. So please, because we have a very large number of attendees everywhere, so if you want to ask questions, please ask questions through the Q&A and through the chat, because it's just impossible for us to manage everybody, okay, speaking at this event. So, Antonio, for you to start, my friend, ball to you.
Sure. Thank you, Ricardo, and welcome again, everyone. It's so nice. It's a pity we don't have more time to have more of these webinars because I feel we go back to friends and colleagues who are great to learn from and connect. So, but we don't have much time. So, thank you, Ricardo. It's always great to work together. And like you said, I think people need to understand the magnitude of publishing in HBR. I think this is very exclusive. It's very hard. It's really, there's no magazine more difficult to publish than HBR, and bringing project management, sustainability, and AI was the first article ever in HBR. So what Ricardo and I do is we know how important is the project management community, but we believe that we can create more impact. We can influence much more and help the profession more if we talk to the senior leaders, say, listen, sustainability and AI has to go together with project management. So I think, Ricardo, you would agree that this is a major achievement, not just for us, which it's nice, but it's for the profession that we all do.
Absolutely. It's to put what we is happening now in the agenda of the executive. So this is why we are trying to raise the bar as much as we can, because remember, we need to, to improve and increase our fishbowl. So we need to really exercise a much wider impact, and we can do that together. And this topic, also one thing, Antonio, that is fantastic is that this topic is very close to my heart and your heart too, because my PhD is on sustainability. And when we intersect AI, sustainability, and this movement together is a super nice topic to talk about. So, Antonio, I will put my screen as the slides, so you can start explaining to people on that.
Okay. And one thing that also maybe background for everybody, when we were thinking, what's our next topic? We wrote the first article ever on AI and project management in HBR in February. So we had few options, ethics and project management, but we saw that has been covered. And one of the thing, or the main thinking Ricardo and I share was, how can we make AI something really positive? How we can connect it with something that has, we know AI has very good impact, but if we increase that with sustainability and project management, this is just so good, so positive. So it opens lots of doors. So that's where we spend most of the time researching this interconnection in topics that both Ricardo and I are passionate about sustainability, AI, and number one, project management for sure, right? So I put the link of the article there here on the chat that we publish. So what we want to do is it's just going through quickly on some of the topics that we cover in the article, and then leave enough time to discussions. Maybe you have other views that you want to share. So the interaction, I think it's nice when we get together more than Ricardo and me just talking all the time. So basically on the introduction, so it's a new paradigm. That's what I think we have developed. AI, sustainability, and project management has not been talked about. There is sustainability in AI. If you have done a bit of research, you see these green algorithms. So we'll talk about that briefly. But there are already big initiatives like Microsoft Planetary Computer initiatives to amalgamate environmental data and AI. So there's quite a lot of studies also on the impact of all these servers and machine and IT, which has a big one. So how do you integrate all this with project management, corporate sustainability, corporate responsibility, and so on? So if you go to the next slide, Ricardo, please. We have, of course, the starting point is what I call the project economy, and we talk about that, and we covered that in the past, but basically it says that the future of work is project-based. So operations are being more and more automated, and that leads to much more project-based work. And when we talk project, it's not saying project management. You have agile teams, self-managed teams. So it's a very different business model where there's not really much hierarchies. You work in teams, and it's all really changing, and your job might be different in 6 months. You don't stuck into this operational role. So the project economy, it's just something that is happening. A lot of the clients I work with were discussing that. They see the challenges. I know, Ricardo, your latest newsletter was covering that piece. On that point, and how the evolution of agile versus waterfall, a topic that we are also very passionate, is transforming the way organizations focus work and the future of work.
Absolutely. And this could not be more true. And what is happening also with AI is that with the tools happening and all this volatility, I would say this orange area of projects is just increasing. It's just increasing. And it's dominating pretty much, I would say, all the aspects that humans are working. So if we think about our lives, it's pretty much project-based. Every single day is a different day. It's a different project. It's a different initiative. Everything that does not exist in our life today is routine.
It's routine. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but when I do work with companies, you realize how still very hierarchical, very stuck in operational concepts. And so there's a lot of change there, which AI can help. Okay, so before we go into some examples in the framework that we've developed, Ricardo, to address this mix or integration between sustainability, project management, we look at 3 challenges. If you go to the next one, so first is the complexity, because is sustainability and AI, it's already complex at project management. Then the cost implications of moving into this kind of integrated approach, and then the impact on carbon footprints and environmental footprint. It's all really, really important to cover. So we're going to go through all these aspects. Assessing the environmental, social, and human factors. This is very important. One point that Ricardo insists, this is not just about climate change. We're talking about environmental, social, and human factors, right? So this is really, really important that we keep in mind. Every time we talk sustainability, yes, but the bigger picture, ESG, okay? Very, very important.
Absolutely.
And then the potential, we'll talk about that. Let's go through the 3 challenges, the complexity. So the requisite of bringing together a diverse group of experts, it's already complex. The good news is that project managers are used to that. Right? If there's somebody that can put people together from IT, from AI, from machine learning for sustainability, imagine people from AI and sustainability, very different type of characters and profiles to put them together to work, it's something that we can do very well. So increase complexity, but we are the players. We are the ones who can manage that. Then we have to navigate. There's a lot of local culture, local laws, local sustainability kind of regulation that's coming on. So it's, again, something that we need to be really good. We should be, but we can be really the driving force of putting all these dynamics and local cultures together. And then managing, interpreting multi-dimensions data sets and bringing, so this is the more technical, where we always said, Ricardo and I, that we are not going to be developers, but we need to understand the technical part. We need to understand the highlights of how AI works, generative AI, how is it built? And Ricardo, you've covered that in a few, in your course, of course, and we've covered it in some webinars. So mixing all these three things is, I think, the complexity. We can play a big role. Then the cost. I think this is something that is a big of the pain points always in sustainability, and then AI. So what are the costs? What are really the costs, not just on financial, but the human resources, and then bringing AI and project management. So this is something that it can be quite expensive. And if you read our case, we give a few examples of the cost that it takes, not just to build the AI green algorithm, but to maintain that. It's really expensive. So it's something that if you want to do and keep running, it's going to cost a lot. So counting all these costs, including them in the business case, is really, really important. This is not just one-off investment. When you put money on AI, sustainability, it's something that you're there for maybe 5-10 years at least of cost and investment. And then the implications, you see that the periodic audits are very important. So we're talking a big number. So it's important that we have good financial planning, financial controlling. In the end, costs are still very important. Not the only criteria, but finance and cost is still how businesses are driven in many aspects. That's the scrutiny also from shareholders, stock market. So the cost is something that we need to be extra cautious and extra good planning. Maybe Ricardo.
Antonio, let me just add to this, because of course we are together working on some initiatives and some tools on this field, like PMOTO, for example. But one thing that people need to realize is that there is a very massive cost implicated on that. For example, OpenAI, ChatGPT. Even for those who are paying $20 to have the plus version, it's not covering the cost. OpenAI spends millions and millions every single day to keep their system running. Of course, they have a lot of funding coming from Microsoft, but in the long run, this is not sustainable, because at some point, they need to identify ways of reducing. For example, if I allow, or for example, on my website, I'm just using a very simple, an API, for example, that connects to generative AI, for example, ChatGPT. These can cost, just to give you an idea, one dialogue with ChatGPT using GPT-4 can cost something like 1 cent, half of a cent. And if you multiply this by millions and millions and millions using every day, these become very relevant, and people don't think too much about that. So just to give you an idea, OpenAI, I think it was spending something like $2 or $3 million just to run every single day, I'm not saying research, I'm not saying improving on that. So, but just to give you the dimension of how things can be very tricky when we talk about costs.
Thank you. And then the last piece is that we still need to have evidence that we're reducing the impact of carbon footprint. So we need to make sure that we have a baseline, that this is included into the whole approach when we develop this machine learning to focus on sustainability. It's important that we have these aspects in place. One of the biggest challenges is the highlighting the substantial energy demands of machine learning algorithms. So there's some examples in the article which says how much it takes and the amount of carbon footprint of a data center, which is huge as well. So there are ways of looking at this and finding better, more renewable energy data centers. And so this is becoming something that we need to pay more attention. For sure, you can see the citing here of the study of the University of Massachusetts, the carbon emissions emancipated from training just one AI model. It's really huge. It's like driving a car for a year. So this is something that we need to cap. So complexity, all these different dimensions, plus the technical piece, the cost, which is heavy, and it's what Ricardo was saying, is more than what we ever imagined. And then the sustainability piece, making sure that we baseline and we have impact and we think about sustainability throughout the whole process. Great.
Yeah.
Next. Oh, this one, we put 2 polls in the survey. So the first question is understanding of green algorithms. Which of the following best describes the primary purpose of integrating green algorithms in project management? To reduce the project budget, to accelerate the project timeline, to enhance operational efficiency and prioritize sustainability, to simplify the project management process, and the last one, to automate all project tasks. So I think, Ricardo, you put something like a Menti.
Yeah, it's a Menti. So what you can do if you want to answer, because then I'm allowing everyone. So you just click, put your phone on the QR code, or you just got into the website menti.com and put the number 75902504. And then you present to us your answer here. So just, it's simple like that. So I'm using here my phone in my hand. I just point and answer. It's very simple, because then we can collect the opinion, and I will be sharing in a second for you what is the I would say the usual answer. Okay. So let me go here and show some of the answers. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, let me just remove myself. And so this is, yes, okay. Probably 90%, 85 to 90%, Antonio, on enhance operational efficiency and prioritize sustainability. Some of them on the project budget, some of them to automate project tasks, and a little bit more, the second one, to simplify the project management process. And now 1% to accelerate the project timeline. So just to give you an idea. So,
okay.
So far we have, we have 57 answers here on this poll.
Okay, thank you. So the right answer there is the one that the majority chose, the in between. No, it's the efficiency of delivering better projects, but also on the sustainability path. So option C, it's the big one. Doesn't mean that the others you cannot do, but the main one is number C. Okay. So next piece is introducing green algorithms. So there's some benefits. Green algorithm, again, sustainability. When we talk about machine learning, imagine ChatGPT that most of us know, but with a touch on sustainability, right? And maybe a counter of every time you make a query with ChatGPT, what's the impact on carbon footprint? How can we reduce it? So today, ChatGPT doesn't care about sustainability. How can we make it more sustainable? Okay. So that's green algorithms. If you go to the next slide, so yeah, this is a bit the summary of what I was saying. We can go to the next, which is more the benefits. So if you Google, you'll find already quite a lot. When we started this article, which usually takes 4 to 5 months to build, we started to look at this, and we found quite a lot. So green algorithms simplify complexity, so showcasing modern project management tool like Notion and Forecast. So there's a lot of new tools, and you can see a lot in our research. By the way, we have a white paper on you find a lot of tools. So these are tools specific for algorithms and machine learning. So you can find that there. Notion, Forecast is good for decision making. Beyond an expense, viewing the implementation of AI solutions as long-term investment with the potential for significant reduction is so important, right? Because when you're making a decision of investment, you always look short-term. So our role as project leaders, when we want to start to using green algorithms, because every company today is talking about AI for sure, in a way or another. I've come across some companies, big ones, where they say, let's build our own ChatGPT, ChatGPT internal for our 100,000 employees. But then I think if you're managing that kind of project, you can say, let's look at green algorithms, not just ChatGPT, but how can we make this all more sustainable? That's where we play a big, big role. Ricardo, I see you're coming up.
Yeah. Now it's do you want to comment quickly on this GE case?
Yeah, so if you go to the next slide, we found a few case studies. One of the most relevant was GE research on their wind turbines. You can see that. So they had developed a tool internally, a green algorithm tool, development and utilization of a cutting-edge machine learning tool aimed at optimizing wind turbine logistics, showcasing the interplay. So addressing cost, complexity, and carbon emission, the three things that we were talking when you're looking at a project in this space. So they were seeing that in their application, and basically they save lots of money into billions for the wind energy sector over the next decade. So the fact that they took into account sustainability, AI, and project management, it was an investment, but the point was, well, over the next decade, we're going to save billions for the wind industry. And you can read the details of the case in our article, but you can also Google it. So this one is one of the best, because we look at maybe 20, 30 cases, and this was one of the most advanced who were meeting the three criteria. So have a look at the wind turbine logistics G case study.
So now let me start talking about with you about the framework. So what we proposed on the article was a framework of 5 steps. Okay, and just to give you an idea on how you can incorporate AI in a sustainable way, on an AI project in a sustainable way. So the first step of this framework that we will discuss is to define and understand what is your sustainability objective. And one thing I want to reinforce, because I think all the time we talk about sustainability, people only think about environmental sustainability. But it's completely interconnected with social and economic sustainability. For example, let me give you an example of some cases. They are not related to AI, but just to give you an idea. For example, when people think about solar panel, okay, and then they think, oh, we should put solar panel always when we can because it's environmentally friendly. Yes. But you need to understand things in a much more holistic way. For example, at the time I was working at the UN, and I had this kind of request. But many times, for example, when you are in Western Africa or in the region of the Sahara Desert, it's just impossible to use the solar panel the way you think, because what happens? The sand just accumulates there, and you lose the power of the solar receptors. And why I'm saying this? Because sometimes it's the cheap, expensive solution. So this is exactly why it's so important to you to understand that the whole aspect of the sustainability of your AI. For example, if you are developing an AI tool, you need to understand what will be the social impact of this tool. It's not just about, okay, how do I save time? How do I pollute less? But what is the social impact? For example, today there is a massive discussion on social media about generative AI and all of this. And there is a massive social implication that both Antonio and I, we are talking about this almost every single day, about how impactful tools like that can be socially. If we do not treat it with, I would say, the right level of responsibility. So we need to create a very clear sustainability objective. We need really to understand, okay, what is our objective that will guide us on this roadmap? On the top of that, okay, I can use very much other sustainability frameworks, like the UN Sustainable Development Goals, like, for example, GRI, that was the topic of my PhD, to help you to make clear what is the sustainability objective of your initiative or your project. And then on the second step, you need to centralize data. And what is the challenge here? First, I don't need to spend our time here talking about how relevant data is, but we need to have a very strong data foundation. We need to centralize and organize data, because data becomes one of the biggest challenge for us. Because if we do not manage the data well, and if the data is scattered all over the place, the cost and the energy you will need to create a solution, it's 10 times bigger. So you need to understand that. And it's a very complex endeavor, because most of the time, our nightmare, for example, unless you are a startup, is what we call legacy. What is the problem? If you want to succeed implementing an AI structure or an AI project, one of the best things, it's okay, just start with a startup, right? Because what's the advantage of the startup? The startup has no legacy. What is my client list? Previous products, teams. But if you are an existing organization, you need to understand that there is already plenty of data everywhere in different systems, in different softwares. And you need to understand this, the power of this legacy to create a lot of complexities on it. So you need to understand how I can manage and improve in the best way the data. I was talking last week at PMI, so with the PMI AI initiative, and PMI is really keen and looking forward to see what we can do to help people to manage better large amounts of data. What kind of governance can we do on that? Because without that, you cannot do anything. For example, if you think about the GPT and other generative AI, and we talk about them having a trillion tokens, imagine the complexity of managing this and a data that is changing every day. If we go back a couple of years, 1 year ago, when GPT was released, they said, okay, all data up to 2021. What they did, they closed the timeline to avoid their database to change. But this is not sustainable. What is happening now? It's being trained every day and receiving new information every day. So if you do not have a good policy, you will spend a fortune managing this. And on the top of that, you will face massive challenges with sustainability on your project. The third one, The third one is to customize the algorithms. There are today hundreds and hundreds of different algorithms you can use. So you need to tailor your algorithm. For example, when we use an algorithm to generate an image, it has the same roots of the algorithm to generate a text, but it's not necessarily the same, because you need to tailor. For example, I know I saw, and I will answer some of the questions about PMOTO. And this is one of the biggest challenges we face, because how we can tailor and create an algorithm that is, I would say, optimize to answer as a project manager. And this is exactly where there is a lot of effort and a lot of people doing that. For example, when you need, for example, a custom solution for medicine, for example, let's suppose you work, for example, in the IT area of a hospital or I would say a pharmaceutical industries, how you can customize. So it's not one thing you need to learn. It's not one size fits all. Different applications, they require different algorithms, because at the end they may do the same thing, but one does like a line, a straight line, the other one is like this, and this means what? More complexity, more cost, and more carbon, right? So you need to optimize to reduce and make your process more lean, and this is one of the challenges. And on the fourth one is pilot. And this goes back to the basic concept of agile. So you test and you evolve. You test and you evolve. Why? Because you need to test your algorithm, because from hallucinations to wrong results, to poor performance, to even crash, to data corruption, for example, to data security. For example, if you are a company doing a project involving AI, if you start big and doing everything without doing a proper test, you can put your organization at risk, at a massive risk, because this data can be leaked, this data can be misused, people can manipulate data, people can benefit from the fragility, natural fragility of the algorithm. So you need to simulate both the algorithm and the use of it. You need to do this. You need to start small and then grow. For example, if you are applying AI and trying to build an AI solution for your organization, so you need to start small and do a pilot testing in a PMO or in a small scope of the projects of the PMO to see how it evolves. And then you do the full-scale implementation. And this, when we presented these 5 steps, we are not telling you that it will take you years to do that. It can take you a few weeks to do that, but you cannot, for example, start, because today it's what we see. People just want this step 5. And then what people do, people skip step 3, step 2, step 4, step 1, they just go to step 5. And what happens? They crash. Imagine today, please, imagine today with me. Did you see last Thursday, I presented an article and I did a lecture at the PMI symposium. And there, one of the case studies, I was using a tool called AI PDF. And the tool is, I take a PDF, I upload this PDF, and I ask questions about the PDF, right? So AI PDF was a business. Then Friday, I said, maybe the OpenAI will release this tool very soon. This was Friday. Monday, they released. So today, just out of curiosity, you can analyze PDFs. So now, Antonio, think about how will be the life of people from Umata? How will be the life of the people like chat PDF or AI PDF? Because all these tools that were built on the top of Chat GPT to do that, they were challenged. So this is the evolving market we are living in. Every single day we talk, something new just happened. And this is why it's so important that you analyze, because otherwise you will see several fragilities coming from this kind of analysis. So, and
quickly, Ricardo, I think this is something that we're not used, but I think when you have an Apple, when you use Microsoft, you're used to a yearly new release, right? Every year or every 2 years, there's something. With ChatGPT, it's like happens every week or 2, right? It's just
it's just
so
crazy.
Fast. It's just crazy.
What's coming next? And what is happening? This is driving the full market. For example, let me give an example. Apple usually traditionally announce 2 releases in a year. one in the first semester and the second one in the second semester. Usually the first semester was more about software, the second was more about hardware. Then last week, what Apple did? Apple announced and delivered an event, a full event, in less than a week. It announced something like, I'm doing an event in 3 days. And then they released the new lineup for the Mac. You know, why I'm just telling you this? Because this is what is happening today. People, for example, between us, I said this last week, you know, we cannot wait 4 years for the PMBOK 8th edition or the you know, 4 years. It's in this current time, 4 years is like 400 years. Yeah. What is happening? It's a matter of minutes. While we speak here, things just change, and this is the critical thinking we need to have here. On the learning and evolution. So what we need to understand, okay? We need to have insights on adaptation. So what we need to be able to capture and share insights on how project management and organizational leaders, they are evolving their approach in the light of AI. Because, for example, I see many people talking about AI, but I don't see organizations saying, okay, what we will do with that? What will be our approach? And how we can see this convergence of AI and eco-consciousness, how we can connect these two things, because at the end, things are very much connected. And this drives me to the second pool we did. Okay, and this is just to ask for your attention. I think that just we don't need to go to the answers, because I hope everyone will do it right. So challenges are merging AI, sustainability, and PM. According to the presentation, what are the key challenges faced when integrating AI in project management for sustainability? Is it PCT? Okay, time, scope, performance, cost, or it's complexity, cost of carbon, or it's data algorithms and execution, or efficiency, effectiveness, and excellence, or the triple I. I like it very much, this letter D and E. But of course, dear friends, that we are talking here clearly about B, okay? About B, okay? What we want, how we can address the complexity, the cost, and the carbon footprint of the initiatives we are aiming and trying to deliver as a project. And now on the conclusion side, so basically, what do we want with this article? Is to really, is to allow us to reflect on the potential, transformative potential that we have when we merge AI, technology, sustainability, and PM. Because if we, as project managers, if we are able to understand these implications, these broader implications of AI, sustainability, and PM, look, we will become absolutely indispensable. And also, one thing, it's very much about how do we see the future, okay? For example, today, we need to understand this concept of green algorithms as something that is the viable path towards achieving operational excellence and sustainability. And it's what I always say, it's about to be a responsible project manager, because it doesn't matter if you create something that will save costs for us, for you, but it will destroy society in some ways. Or if it will reduce your costs today, but it will create a bomb that is just ticking to explode in terms of costs, for example, for you in the future. And this is exactly what we expect on that. It's to open the minds of all the project managers to think about that in a more holistic way. And this is our objective here on with this paper. We will open to the Q&A, but before we do that, Antonio and I, we just discussed this because we want to create an incentive for people to to participate on this. So today we decided both something like 1 hour ago, we decided to create a coupon code for you on the third masterclass. The third masterclass is already confirmed. Okay, we still have some slots, but it's absolutely confirmed. We have several students already registered, and we decided just to put an early bid between now and this Sunday for those who attend. We are not posting this on social media, but for those who attend, just to support them if they want. So it's a 20% off using the coupon sustainability. And my friend, now it's the time for the Q&A, okay? For the Q&A. So we already have a few questions here. I will, oh, thank you. Pascal is saying, I recommend the masterclass. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Look, the question from Johan and Didier is about Piemoto. So let me explain to you. I'm trying to explain every time because Piemoto is a perfect example of this. We are moving with Piemoto. But what is the challenge we are facing now? We are in a crossroad. So why we didn't open Piemoto yet widely to the public? Because if we do that, we are opening something that cannot be very sustainable. What is the challenge now? We have on the technical side the challenge of building things on the top of something that is changing a lot. For example, for ChatGPT, it's very easy for them to create a new feature or to implement a new feature. Why? Because they own the large language model and they own the server. We don't. We built our solution on the top of Azure, on the top of ChatGPT. So we don't have the same advantage as they have. So they change the API, we need to change. They change, we need to change. And this increases dramatically our costs to keep up to date. And this is, and look, this is a lot of money when we talk about it. And second thing, it's about the business direction. So I spoke to venture capitalists, I spoke with institutions. So there are different possible ways. And one of the possible ways is that Piemoto maybe sold to a bigger initiative, where the components will be part of that. And on this case, it's not good for that deal if Piemoto becomes public and people becomes using it because of the liability. Because right now, Piemoto does not generate any liability. Nobody paid for Piemoto, so we are restricting the use, but Piemoto is active. Piemoto is, but we are being extremely cautious because we don't want to create a challenge. And this is a sense of responsibility, both for Antonio and myself, on doing that. And remember, things are, look what happened with Umata. I just want to tell you, Umata AI PDF, all of this, they received Series A funding. And we are talking about probably 10, 15 million. And then ChatGPT released a PDF, a version of that just blew up everything. Their business, it's just why someone would pay Umata if they pay for ChatGPT and they can have that. I have a big question to all of you, and I don't have the answer. And it's, will ChatGPT do the same for more specific content like medicine? Will ChatGPT do that for project management, for finance? And if this happens, then the reason for Piemoto to exist does not make sense. And this is exactly what we are trying to analyze. This is why we are being more cautious, because we don't want, because right now, regardless of the decision we make, we are not creating any challenge to anyone because nobody's paying. Well, of course, for us, if we decide to sell or to stop, it's just our business. It means it's our investments that we may lose or may win, but we are not impacting other people's life. And why I'm saying this in such a long way, because this is exactly what we are talking on this paper. This is understanding the concept of sustainability. But I hope we will hear very soon on the next steps. Okay, I have a call today with the technical team to discuss on that, and I will have, so probably some new announcements will be made very soon. But I'm very very, I would say, happy and conscious of everything we are doing. Okay, so I think there is a massive opportunity for all of us. If this opportunity will be called PMO2, or if it will be the own ChatGPT, because one of the ideas is to become a plugin on ChatGPT and probably be incorporated into OpenAI. So this is a possibility. We need to be open, okay, on that. Antonio,
I didn't
there is
see any questions, or did you see
yeah,
any?
it's on the Q&A. I can read.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, Jean, right? Jean, do people and organizations are willing to share and centralize data? Do you want to take this one?
I can take that, Jean. I think the people and organization willing to share centralized data. I think that's a big issue, Jen. I think internally in your own organization, what I find out is that organizations don't have really good data. It's all spread. Some pieces are on ERP systems, but for sustainability, you need to go to the sites, you need to go to the suppliers. If you're talking about scope 3, so it's data is one of the biggest challenges that you can face anytime you do AI and sustainability around footprint and baselining. So are companies willing to share and centralize? There are pieces who are being centralized. Yes, if we are working with the same suppliers, you will try to get kind of sustainable databases where you have that information. So there are pieces of data that, yes, there you'll see more and more. I am familiar with one called EcoInvent, for example, that you buy a license and you'll get a lot of data on materials and so on. But there is, of course, sensitive information for the organizations that's not going to be shared about your products, the composition, the margins, all these things. This is still sensitive. So there's a fine line with what you can share and what not. But obviously, both of sustainability and AI only work with good data. That's the, I think, where you spend most of the time every time you do anything on these two areas. It's data collection, data cleansing, data validation, and having a good data set so that you can play these models. Great question.
Perfect. I have a question here that is a little bit more technical. Are the algorithms similar to prompts in generative AI? Can you give us an example of an algorithm, how we should imagine it? Let me draw something here for you to understand. What is an algorithm? An algorithm is a way that the computer processes things. For example, let me give you a very, very simple linear regression. So you have a chart here, you have a chart here. Let me just change the color. You have dots here. Let me just change the color here. You have dots here. And then what happens with linear regression? Linear regression, they find the best line. It's an equation that try to make this inference to you. This is an example. This is an algorithm. Another one algorithm is called, for example, KNN or KNext. It's a clustering algorithm that is used for unsupervised learning. For example, I start testing data and I find this. All this data here, and then I find all this data here. Then you give me another data, this green data here. Then what happens? By giving me here, I can assume this is part of this clustering. This is what is called the clustering service. This is unsupervised learning. There are many. Another one that PMP candidates studied. This is an algorithm. Remember? Tree analysis. Remember? I can buy an insurance or not. I can have fire and the fire can damage. Remember that? This is an example. Another example, artificial neural networks, the article I wrote in 2015. So this has nothing to do with the prompt you make, but how you transform this first layer that is the prompt into the last layer that is the answer. It can be an image and this. And this is the process. And that there is a lot of layers in the middle sustaining this. This is the base of most of generative AI. They work with artificial neural networks. That is the most complex one. Okay, that is the most complex way. But remember, this has nothing to do with the prompt. The prompt is what you do here. This is what you do in the prompt. That's it. The algorithm is the machine behind that prompt, okay? Just to answer you in a more clear way, okay? You want to take another one?
Yeah, I'll take the next one. So, Federico Binel, good to see you, Federico. I know you have been working on this topic as well. So most of recommendations looks viable in ACT context culture. How do you imagine them implemented in a construction, engineering, mega projects environment? That's a great question. And I think mega projects it's evolving very quickly. I think we are familiar with the work of some people especially in Asia, Hong Kong, the Professor Bent, who has been doing work on AI in mega projects. I don't know so much about sustainability, but I think mega projects have thousands of billions of data. So it's a good source of working with AI. And I think maybe that's one of the areas where we'll see more coming forward and more use of AI. That's where you have the bigger budgets. So I think people can spend that. If we're talking a 1 billion project, you can spend a few millions on AI and technology. So maybe even more than ICT, where there's a lot around cost cutting. So mega projects I've been following a bit, and they are really looking for eager to introduce new technologies for sure.
Yeah, and let me add on that, because I work a lot with this construction mega project. People are using, and they are using pretty much in the same. But what they are doing, they are using AI, for example, to help them, for example, in the security of the construction site. For example, this is something I'm doing. I'm using AI to check if people are using helmets, if they're using protective material. And this is all done by AI. So there is nobody looking to them. But you have an identification saying, oh, someone entered in the construction field without the protective equipment. And this triggers an alarm. So all these were projects we developed aiming to deliver a better results in terms of sustainability and social responsibility, and also reduction of cost, because we don't want to stop, for example, the product due to an incident or something like that. So this is a perfect example. And just to use an example of Saudi Arabia is doing a lot of massive projects, and they are investing massively also on AI, and it's a very similar process to this one. I would take the next one. It's Vamsi said, we have some AI tools that use and summarize PDF, and you said on Needle, SPDF, and this. And Vamsi, I'm sad for them, because 3 days ago, ChatGPT started doing that, and then it's I don't know. It will be pretty much impossible for people to use any other tool that it's not ChatGPT or Bard or this big. What is happening? One thing that I don't know if I'm happy or not. Probably I'm not as happy as I would like to be. It's tech is being dominated by 5-6 companies in all aspects: cloud, search, internet, social media, and AI. And it's all the same 4, 5, 6 companies. And it's almost impossible to anyone to compete against them because of the money and because of the domain of the technology they have. So, and they can leverage dramatically. For example, how I can develop something that will take care of privacy if, for example, Microsoft can use their Azure service and automatically put privacy in every single client of them with Office 365. And this is a perfect trend that we see today. And what happens is we will see that happening on a daily basis. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to take any other? We still have 3 here.
Jeff, thank you for the comment there. Thank you for being one of the first one in the master class, and that you found it worthwhile, and so we appreciate what we want.
Thank you very much. He was part of our first class.
It's a community that we're building and people who can influence. So it's nice to get these comments there. And Gary, Angel, what do you believe are the greatest challenges pertaining to sustainability in agriculture adopting GenAI? The greatest untapped opportunity. I'm not an expert on agriculture. Sorry, I cannot answer that. It's just, if I don't know the field, I cannot. I don't know. Agriculture is changing very, very fast. There's a lot of challenges. I'm in Spain, so agriculture is a big topic, and there's a lot of challenges, but it goes beyond AI as well. I think we're talking about global politics and so on. So I don't know. Sorry for not being able to answer that one.
Gary, I'm Brazilian, despite of not living in Brazil. In Brazil, agriculture is a big thing, and it's extremely well developed. What happens is, for example, I teach it in 2 courses in the south of Brazil about using AI in project management for agriculture. Okay, so how you develop projects, for example, for new crops, project for new harvesting methods, and we are using AI on that. And honestly, Gary, I don't know a single field that is not using AI. Some of them are late, some of them are more fast, but there is no one that I would say, oh, these ones, they are not caring too much. And I think it's a massive opportunity in agriculture, but it's a massive opportunity also in other fields, okay? Every time we see something in society that is not working, it's an opportunity for improvement, and AI will do that. For example, I cannot imagine when AI get into government, public service, government service to the society. This will be a massive also opportunity. One thing, Joe, what level of project management efficiency is forecast due to AI? It's improving dramatically. Joe, last week I presented the use of artificial neural networks to forecast project management costs in projects, and we did and using a forest random model. I did this at the PMI summit, and it worked very, very nicely. Just to give you an idea, if I'm not wrong, the number we found was something like 15,000 or 16,000, and the actual number, because this project came to an end, was 17. So we missed the mark by 5%. So it's a dramatic improvement, and we did that using AI, using ChatGPT GPT-4 plus with analytics. So I think it's becoming very sharp and very good. Okay. Antonio, do you take the last one?
Paulo.
How are you, my friend? Paulo.
Good to see you, Paulo. In the sustainability, the calibration of the model is extremely critical and very expensive. Can you comment based on your experience how companies manage this challenge? Yeah, and I think I think, Paulo, my experience, I'm not saying this is the norm, perfection is impossible. We're talking about multi-dimensions, thousands of data. So if you want to build a very solid model that's not going to change, where you have perfection and every data is correct, it's impossible, my experience, right? You need to work with the 80-90%, which gives you an indication where we're going. As long as you have the direction, you have the red spots, where the areas where you will have more impact, to make more sustainable changes or performance improvement, that's enough. So when I see you get stuck is when you're trying to get the 100% precision, you go crazy. It's just impossible. And then these models will evolve. Your model today will be different in 6 months. Look at ChatGPT, Ricardo was saying, in 3 months, it's all different. So I think the agility, the flexibility that we have to bring to our thinking, because we thought the model is fixed and it's like that forever. No, today we're in a different world. So you have a model which is good, but not perfect, and it's going to evolve. So we need to keep maturity is very important. So that's something that it's a different way to work. The world is different today than 10 years ago, and it's going to be continuing changing. So great point, Paulo, and great to see you here always.
Yeah. Just to wrap up, Carmen agreed with you. It's fantastic to see so many students of our masterclass. It means that there is continuous interest on that. And I will just echo what Antonio said. It's important. Sometimes I have this motto: "It's done is better than perfect." Sometimes when you're calibrating and if you're aiming a super precision, you will not get there. It will cost you a fortune, and it will become irrelevant very quick. What we do is we learn, we try to get as much data as we can, and we try to calibrate. And over time, we get more information, and then we go learning and we go improving. Okay. Look, Roberto, how about to integrate in the merge AI, sustainability, and PM also with risk management? Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes,
like
yes. It's very nice because risk management is also a part of that. Why we didn't bring a PM to that equation, risk to that equation? Because for me, risk is already inside the PM piece. It's like HRs, like quality. It's inside that. AI, it's a little bit different, and sustainability. But if we go back to the PMBOK 6th edition, you'll see that risk, like procurement, because if we put risk management framework, then we need to put a procurement framework or an HR framework, and then it becomes much bigger and a little bit cumbersome on that. Look, my friend, so we are on the top of the hour, my friend. Wonderful seeing you all. Thank you very much for the questions and for the participation. Antonio, it's always a pleasure. Okay, thanks for your partnership. I'm very happy, and you will see new things. And please, if you are interested on the masterclass, we will do our last one this year on December 15th and 20th. And if you want, you can use the sustainability in the coupon code to get the 20% off of the course. And see you all, okay, in the next webinar. Right. And we'll continue posting and pushing forward on this agenda on AI sustainability. Antonio, ball to you. Thank you very much.
Very much. You will get the slides in the recording. Take care.
Yes.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye, Ricardo.
Bye-bye.